Yes! Yes!
A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. Ooh, ooh, and clicks. For kids who love to save the day, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
Good morning, it's Thursday, August 6, and this is the Brussels Playbook podcast. The vibe in Brussels today is burnt out, as we ask, why do so many people working at the Commission end up so miserable? Also on the pod, last week's Ceuta crisis has revived a pretty interesting question. Why does Spain still hold territory in North Africa? And the introduction of a new weight loss pill in Europe is sparking yet another transatlantic spat. I'm Zoya Sheftalovich, and with me today is one of our policy editors, Sarah Wheaton. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Zoya. You must be looking forward to a break.
Ooh, I am looking forward to sitting on a beach, drinking wine, and eating pinchos. What about you?
I am just here in empty Brussels for 2 weeks, hoping that stores will be open.
Judging by what happened the last few days, I think you're going to be struggling to get your lunch order put in.
Hungry Sarah Summer.
Sarah, our first story today is a super interesting one, and I think one that'll hit home with at least some of our listeners. It's one from our colleague Seb Starcevic, who's been speaking with Commission officials, looking at the data, and what he has found is that the European Commission is not a very happy place to work for a lot of people.
No, I mean, look, the pressure is pretty high and it's getting higher. There's also tons of bureaucracy. As the head of the Commission's largest staff union put it to Seb, he said, quote, the conditions are more and more difficult. There's more and more workload, which means more and more pressure. At the same time, there are all these global crises. People feel like, with all this extra pressure, every file matters. But at the same time, they have to go through all this bureaucracy and approval to actually finish their work.
Yeah, and I was reading through this article and it's very interesting the sorts of things that people say. I mean, there's some stuff that's just stressful job stuff. When you've got a high-powered, high-paying job like these folks do, it's kind of expected that you're going to be working a lot of things and your hours might be long, right?
Life in politics. Yeah.
Exactly. And you and I, it's not like we're working short hours either, Sarah. But then some of the stuff in here is pretty eye-opening because it isn't really normal. So Seb has spoken with Commission officials working in cabinets of the European commissioners who've told him about being screamed out. There was one person who said that they got punched in the face by their boss at the pub after work one night, which, I mean, that really was stunning.
The EU is supposed to be a peace project, guys.
Yeah, it is.
Violence is never the answer.
And this stuff, this is the kind of dichotomy because everyone does want a commission job in this town because of the pay, because they're looking at taking home $6,000, $7,000 a month before allowances, not even taxed, not taxed in Belgium at least, which is very high taxing. And this is just for these 85 jobs. These are the graduate entry-level administrator roles. So it's very, very good money, great job security conditions. So
it's prestige and it's where, if you believe in the European Union and you want to do important things, get paid well to do important work that fulfills your values.
Yeah, and there's so many bars that you've got to jump over in order to get this job. You've got to do cognitive testing. You've got to do exams. There are months worth of processes and interviews and so forth. So there's a lot kind of riding on it. It takes a lot to get in. But then you get in there and you realize, well, things might not be as rosy. And one of the things that Seb points out in his story is a lot rides on who your boss is. And there are some bosses who are lovely, some bosses who are less lovely. And one of the things is that there is a complaint process in place as of recently, actually, only since 2024, the Commission ended up appointing an anti-harassment chief who can handle complaints. And this person reports to Piotr Serafin, who's the budget commissioner. But that person has received since September 2024 960 reports from colleagues feeling harassed, from alleged harassers, witnesses, managers, and HR correspondents.
Yeah, and I mean, this person oversees a team of 40 counselors who are supposed to work across the Commission and the executive agencies to deal with these workplace conflicts. But, this is just kind of an informal why can't we all just get along type of thing. If you actually want to make a formal complaint with legal implications, then staff have to go to this official office called the Investigative and Disciplinary Office or to the Anti-Fraud Office, OLAF. The commission receives around 20 to 25 of those a year. So it really pales in comparison to the level of kind of anger that we're seeing.
Yeah. It is important to say that the commission disputes that it's a particularly unhappy institution. So they told Seb that an internal survey found that 74% of staff rated the commission an attractive employer, and that's up 6 percentage points since 2023. And a spokesperson said that they're committed to being a modern, respectful, and attractive place to work. And we should say that the EU executive is actually undertaking its first major workplace review in several decades, and that's also being led by Piotr Serafin. Anyway, Sarah, I would love to hear from our listeners. If you're working in one of these institutions, if you've experienced any bullying or issues, harassment and so forth, please send us a WhatsApp. You can do a voice note or a message. Of course, we won't use your name if you don't want us to, but let us know what your experience has been. Or, if you love it and you think these people are just whingers, let us know too. Sarah, for our second story today, it's a super interesting one. We've been talking on this podcast all week about the migrant crisis in Ceuta, which is this Spanish exclave in North Africa. But what it has raised questions around is the status of Ceuta and Melilla, which is the other Spanish exclave in Northern Africa. What their status is and what the relationship with Spain is, and essentially who's going to come to Spain's aid should Morocco decide that actually it would quite like these territories.
Yeah, and Aitor Hernandez Morales, our colleague, really kind of unpicked all of this. I mean, look, right now, this is like another really problematic headache for Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. This particular issue kind of flared up the differences in the Spanish approach to migration versus Italy and Denmark. He has a different approach to China. He's been recognizing Palestinian statehood, kind of, out ahead of other countries on that. And then the U.S. is pretty annoyed with Spain over NATO and Spain not doing as much NATO spending. So, if Morocco was like, yeah, you know what? We have these two kind of little cities that are on our, are next to our territory and we'd like to take them back. If Morocco tried to do that by force, who would help Spain?
Yeah. And this is the thing, because Spain does find itself a bit isolated. Now, we should say that NATO did actually affirm in 2024 that Melilla and Ceuta are covered under NATO's Article 5 umbrella. So should Morocco decide that it might go in and try to take those, then in theory, Article 5 gets triggered. But in practice, if we look at what's happened before in this region, and in fact, there's a very direct kind of comparison that we can make, which we will make in a sec, it's been complicated, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is something that is causing serious concern in Spain. On Monday, Defense Minister Margarita Robles said during a press conference that these towns are not to be touched. Everyone must be very clear. She said that Spanish territorial integrity and sovereignty are not up for debate, but national newspapers are drawing comparison with this previous event that you referred to, Zoya. It's called the Green March of 1975. And Spain actually used to hold an even bigger territory, what was then called the Spanish Sahara. Spain had planned to give the region independence in 1975, but instead Morocco sent 350,000 people to march peaceably into this territory and basically claim it for Morocco. And so this is now the Western Sahara. It's basically still disputed today, but Morocco claims to own it, and the U.S. has now backed up under the Trump administration the idea that it is part of Moroccan territory.
I've been checking out some of the editorials in various kind of Moroccan royal family aligned papers. Does in some ways have its sights set on Ceuta and Melilla. But what we should say, you mentioned this US Trump administration kind of shift. There's another interesting thing that Aitor points out, which is that there's a particular congressman, US Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, who has actually said in an interview with Spanish newspaper El Español that Ceuta and Melilla are in Moroccan territory and actually questioned whether they are part of Spain or should be part of Morocco. Then also actually submitted a congressional report saying similar. So this Moroccan thing has some backers. Morocco has some backers in the US as well. And I think that's another reason why Spain is so nervous.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the reality is that these are, Spanish colonial holdings.
But they go back a long way.
Yeah. I mean, Ceuta from 1668 and Melilla from 1497. They are fully integrated parts of Spain. They are unequivocally Spanish. At the same time, you do need to go through an ID check to get onto mainland Spain. But at the same time, our European country is going to be like, yeah, we're going to stand up to a Washington-backed Morocco to protect Spain's colonial holdings.
I don't know.
I think there's reason to be concerned in Madrid.
I don't know. So, Sarah, our third story of the day, it's about Novo Nordisk. It's this Danish pharma company that's behind Ozempic. And it's announced that it's going to be bringing its brand new weight loss pill to Europe. It's currently making jabs, and you can get the jabs here, but you haven't been able to get the pill so far.
Yeah, so the Wegovy pill, it's said to potentially be a blockbuster. I mean, just in the UK alone, 300,000 Brits have started using it just 3 weeks after it's launched.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's so many people 3 weeks after. And this information is from this earnings call, I think, that one of our reporters was covering the other day, where they basically said, look, this is our expectation for the European market.
Yeah, and I mean, it's already out also in the United States and the United Arab Emirates. 1.5 million people are already on this Wegovy pill. And so it's expected to really be a blockbuster when it comes to Europe. And the first country that it's going to be available in is Germany.
That's kind of the long and the short of it. But really, this story is less about weight loss pills and more about the fact that this is yet another place where the EU and the US administration under Trump are not seeing eye to eye.
Exactly. So Trump is mad because European countries tend to pay less for new medicines than the US does.
And that's because the reason why European countries pay less for the medication is because they have purchase power, because they've got large national health services that buy products en masse and negotiate these contracts en masse. In the US, very different system, privatized, individual insurance companies and so forth doing the negotiations.
Exactly. So Germany tends to be a first stop for drug companies. It's a powerful negotiator. And the thing that's really interesting about this earning call that our colleague Dominic Cummings listened to is Novo didn't say how much they're going to charge for it, but they basically said they were going to charge the amount that they want to charge and ignore what Trump has requested. He has told pharma companies that they need to implement this so-called most favored nation status, which basically means like giving the US like some of the best prices that are available. And Novo's like, no, we're not going to bother.
And the reason why they're not going to bother, I mean, this is kind of an interesting element in and of itself, is that they know that this is going to be a huge product for them. And they want to get people hooked nice and early, nice and easy, before they might see some other alternative pills come onto the market, and then there might be competition.
Yeah, and look, this is kind of a big issue that applies to a lot of medicines, a lot of innovative drugs, and it's an issue where there's sort of unity across party lines in the U.S. is this frustration that despite being, pretty much the richest economy in the world, the U.S. cannot command lower drug prices, whereas Europe gets to benefit from it. And so, you've seen unity from Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders on this issue. But ultimately, European negotiating power is still helping it win out. At the same time, it's winning out on drug prices. At the same time, as we've just been discussing, this convenient weight loss pill has been available in the United States for longer than Europe. So in the US, if you can afford it, you might get it first, whereas in Europe, you might have to wait longer, but your government will help you pay for it, and the drug companies will probably negotiate a lower price.
And in terms of what Trump might do about it, I mean, just last month, the US launched a trade probe into what it called Germany's persistent underpayment for innovative pharmaceutical products. And basically, we'll see how that pans out. That's where the pressure is coming from. And there are other places as well. I mean, Donald Trump famously does love to impose tariffs on countries. So that's always an option for him. Hey. Sarah, that's about it from us. But yesterday we spoke about geographical indications and we asked people for their favorite one. And we got a message from Alicia from Poland who says she loves osypek, which is a salty smoked sheep cheese made specifically in the Tatra Mountains region of Poland.
Well, I was just in that region, actually on the Slovak side, and just the cherry situation in the whole area is excellent.
Are they sweet cherries or sour cherries?
Whatever I had definitely had sugar added to it.
I dream of sour cherries in Ukraine, in the Carpathian Mountains, which is where I'm from. They had the most stunning sour cherry trees. My grandfather had a tree in his backyard. Oh, you've made me nostalgic, Sarah. Anyway, before we really get out of here, Sarah, what's coming up from the Weekender tomorrow?
So we have one more new episode before we go on summer break, and it's one that we hope will set you up for your summer break. It's our annual books episode. Zoya, you even provided one of your recommendations for us.
I did too, Sarah, so I'm intrigued as to which one they'll use.
All right, so you got to listen tomorrow. And then also for our interview, we speak with somebody who will be very familiar in Brussels, Guy Verhofstadt, former Belgian Prime Minister and former MEP. He's written a new book called Defeating Trumpism, and he describes a growing frustration with how liberal democracies are governed, and he has some proposed solutions that can help counter the global rise of populism. So lots to digest in the Weekender.
Interesting. And then, folks, we're going to be off until the 24th of August. That'll be our first week back. But in the meantime, there will be some episodes from the archives that you're going to be dropping.
Exactly. So the new books episode and then 2 archival favorites to revisit.
Oh, fun. Folks, that's about it from me. Actually, while I'm on holiday, I would love to come back to just a heap of new reviews on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, because we are still languishing below 1,000, and I would just love for there to be more, Sarah.
So you're giving people vacation homework. You already said the vibe is burnt out.
That's it from me. See you, folks.
The hustle doesn't stop in NBA 2K27. Every game is an opportunity to master your skills.
You can't guard me!
To put defenders on skates with your bag of crossovers. And show off your limitless range. Chase greatness around the clock in NBA 2K27. Ball over everything.